gonna get started.
Mm.
And this is recorded and archived, so for the folks that are here, your questions, you can ask them and they'll be helpful for other people. We do this roundtable every single month. It's the first Thursday of the month, same time, same link. So we're just gonna jump right in. First of all, my name is Ebony. I'm with the Bates International Group. We also have some other folks that are on our team if you want to say hello.
Hey, Mohammed here. Good to see everybody. Happy Thursday. Happy what's this, June 1st and Pride Month. So, happy.
Happy, yeah.
Yep.
And I see our friend, Dinesh, you want to say hello out there? We have our lender friend here.
Hey everybody, it's Dinesh Williams. I'm now with I've changed companies again. I'm now with First Savings Bank. So
Okay.
It's a federal savings bank that's based in Indiana, and we lend in all 50 states. So I'm happy to report, and we're very competitive with rates.
Awesome.
That's good to hear.
Let's talk.
Awesome.
Let's see how I can help your clients get to that closing table.
Heck yeah. Well, okay. Well, that's definitely always helpful. So, and this month, what happens, prior to getting to the closing table, our home inspections are ever so important. And we have somebody who is really special to us that we, go to for nearly, every inspection just because they're that good. So we have Dan Deist, who is the founder and president of Top to Bottom Services. We know and love Top to Bottom. It's been a part of my business, since the beginning. So I won't take up any more time because this is a subject that everybody is interested in. So Dan, without further ado, the floor is all yours and you can run this however you want as far as questions go.
Awesome. Yeah. And if anyone has anything they want to chime in and ask, please do just put in the chat or just start talking. But I've been doing this now just to kind of give you a little bit of background about Top to Bottom, because I've learned now that if there's a screen and you just have like your name on your shirt, you almost seem like you already know what you're doing, but we actually have some credentials to go along with that. We've been this September, so it's another 4 months. This September will be 19 consecutive years as being A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau. 19 consecutive years. And we have now on Google alone over 1,700 5-star reviews. And if you look at all of our reviews across, we have over 5,000. And what I've learned now in the now nearly 2 decades of running this was that if a client says, do you do this? The answer should always be yes, right? So it's like, do you do this? Yeah, I do that. And then I turn around and I go to somebody else at the office and go, hey, go figure this out, right? Because it's like some client has just asked this, but it's so amazing about this industry because we get in the industry to help serve people, and it feeds my desire to be a servant attitude. But having a servant attitude just means you have to continue sharpening the sword, right? You got to learn all the different things. And when Ebony and I first crossed paths, we were talking about it early 2015, or maybe earlier than that, when we first crossed paths, was the home inspection was pretty cut and dry. It was, okay, I got pre-approved. Well, first I got pre-approved, then I found a realtor, or I got a realtor and then pre-approved, that they're very close. Then they started searching for properties, and then they found the property, and then they would schedule a home inspection, and we would go in and just make sure everything was good to go and it was done. Well, the standards that now they're being pushed forward are in the best interest of the client, right? Because they're requiring additional things we're looking at. But then also what has happened over time is these additional ancillaries have start coming in here. And what we're finding now is people are getting extraordinarily educated on their own using the internet to say, hey, I'm getting a home inspection. What should I be looking for? What credentials should the inspection company have? What should I ask them, right? What kind of insurances do they hold? All those business questions, but they're also getting really well versed in all of the additional services that are afforded to them. And two that stand out right now significantly are sewer camera inspections. You know, it used to be we would go in and as a home inspection company, and let's turn on the water and let's see if the water runs, right? And it's like, okay, you got a drip over here, you have something over there. But that was the extent of what we could do, because we're not doing intrusive inspections. We couldn't like take walls off and do all that kind of stuff. So we would just stay in our lane and say that's how we're testing our plumbing. But now what we're finding is, I mean, our vehicles now are all equipped with them. Other companies in the industry are equipped with them. Sewer camera scoping, where we can now, just like if you go to the doctor and say, hey, I got some congestion here, whatever, they can send a camera down, find out what's going on in the heart, do these veins. We do that on the waistlines. So we can actually send a line down, and what we're finding is 8 out of 10 the pipes that we look at have some level of need of repair or service or monitor. There's something happening in there. And the misconception has always been, well, if the house is old, that makes complete sense. Because the house is old, you say, oh, tree roots. Oh, you say collapsed lines. You say that just makes sense. You're like, oh, older home, I think the waistline would have a problem. Well, in reality, we're finding a lot with the building boom that those houses that are built in the 1980s, the 1990s, and then the 2000s have some severe issues that are not manifesting until years in. And why would that be? Well, if you can kind of picture right now, when you're building a home, they excavate the area where they're going to build this house. They build this big, huge crater. Then they start putting your slab on there, and then you start forming your walls, and then you got your foundation. Well, then they start putting the pipelines out to the waistline, and then they backfill all that soil back in there, and they drive their trucks and they pack everything down. And when they do, they crush the PVC pipe. And nobody realizes it because the pipe is still fairly clean, but over years, when you have those dips and those valleys, debris starts to fill up, and then you get people moving in and they flush the toilet, and next thing you know, they're having a major issue. They're having gurgling. They're hearing gurgling in their lines. So now we're doing the lines going out to the waistlines, and it's almost like if your inspection company doesn't offer that, you're wondering, is this like some, Billy Bob in a pickup truck or something like that? Because almost everyone has to have that skill set now. The other one is the camera into the fireplace flue. The standards of practices require that if I was doing a inspection right now for Miss Bates here, and I said, hey, this is what's included in your home inspection when it comes to your fireplace. We look at this, and this. Nowhere in there do we say, we're going to go in and we're going to look in the flue to find out if there's any creosote in there, any cracks where carbon monoxide could leak out. That's not in it, because the companies were all founded on the standards and practices based on the state and the certificate authority, which is the American Society of Home Inspectors or the International Association of Certified Home Inspectors. And in those standards, it says non-intrusive. Anytime you're sending something up that's intrusive, well, they haven't changed their standards, but the client's demand for additional information has superseded these things. So now we're sending cameras not only down into the waistlines, we're using different cameras, and we're sending them up fireplace flues. And sometimes we catch Santa Claus in there and he's still stuck. We yank him out, he's fine. We brush him off, send him off. He's back to the North Pole doing what he's got to do. But we are literally finding problems. And here's the thing that people need to know is that most of the homes that are being built today are prefab fireplaces. Now, this might be boring conversation for most people, but this is my alley, right? I'm a home inspector, so we're living here. Prefab fireplaces that have metal flues and metal inserts, the amount of damage being put in when they stick these things in there, and then now the finishing people come in, they put the sheetrock, they're collapsing the flues. And people are not realizing this until they have, usually it's not a catastrophic problem if it caught early enough. So I don't want to scare anybody because that's not the purpose. But the idea is that creosote's building up faster, right? And you start getting backflow on these because the dents in here doesn't allow the smoke to go up, and these little creases allow creosote. And without routine cleaning, then this creosote builds up and that's where the fire happens. But it just needs to know that these things are out there. The other things, Ebony, that we're finding right now is more and more air testing for mold, environmentals. They call them VOCs, volatile organic compounds. They're talking about mold testing, radon testing, asbestos testing, lead testing. These are all things now that if you would have asked me 10, 15 years ago when we were doing home inspections, that my crew would be out doing, multiple different types of inspections on one, I would have told you you're crazy. We do home inspections. We get on the roof, we check out the attic and do your outlets. Now there's just so much involved in it. And it's changing the whole landscape. Well, what else has changed the landscape? What's changed the landscape is higher interest rates. I think we got a great lender in here. Higher interest rates, right? Low amount of people on the market, low selling. So now you're in the seller's market, and we're having this influx of waived inspections, non-contingent offers, right? A recent study by the USA Today reported that over 70% of the people who purchased houses last year without a home inspection regret not having one. Over 70%. And why were they waiving their inspections in the first place? Well, if there is a bunch of people trying to buy one house, they're all buying to say, I have the best offer. I have the best realtor. I've negotiated great terms. And part of that was, I'm going to give you a clean offer sheet. And that is, I got a pre-approved person. They have plenty of money to make the purchase, and we're waiving some inspections because we want it nice and clean. Well, that's a good thing. People get in. I love it. But now they're buying these houses without any type of inspection, and they don't really know what they're getting. So with the waived inspections, we had to come up with a solution to continue serving the community. And one of those was creating what we call a walk and talk.
Hey,
And
Dan, let
walk
me
and-
ask you, before you move on really quickly, could I just go back to your point and just insert in here for the folks who are watching this now or later that when we think of home inspections, we always think of the buyer, but you really kind of got me thinking that, it should be at least pointed out that inspections are not just for buyers. If you own a home, perhaps it makes sense, to go ahead and get an inspection if you haven't ever had one,
Right.
so that you have a good punch list. Or if you've lived in your home for a long time and, things have settled, perhaps, it makes sense to go ahead and, give top to bottom a call, and maybe not a full inspection, but maybe you have
Right.
some part of the inspection. And so before you talk about the walk and talk also, could you just tell us what is standard with your inspection and what would be an add-on?
Right.
Because I wanted the scope that you send down, that's not a part of a rate. That's something
No.
that you add on. Okay. Yeah. So could you kind of
so the
Sorry.
a normal inspection, and thanks for bringing that up, because I really want to talk about some of the things that a lot of people believe are included in inspection and they're not, right? So a standard inspection, a standard inspection will take about 2.5 to 3 hours, right? So to explain everything we look at on this time would be challenging, but I can certainly draw great imagery in your mind, right? So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be looking at the roof. Okay, if I walked up to your home right now, I'm saying, all right, there's the roof. I start looking at the siding coming down. I'm looking at the gutters. I'm looking at the trim. I'm going all the way down to the lawn and trees around it. I'm looking at all those pieces together. That's part of a home inspection. And then when I go inside the house, if we're starting at the top of the house in our mind again, and we go inside the attic, now we're not required, no inspector is required to enter an attic. Now, our company policy is we do. Our company policy is we walk a roof if it's safe, and we enter attic spaces, but it's not required. So we be in the attic, we look at how it's ventilated, how it's constructed, how it's insulated, see if there's roof leaks, animal penetrations, anything of that nature. And then on the main living areas, we'll be doing the things that you would expect. We're checking the doors, making sure that they latch properly. We're checking the windows, make sure they're not cracked. They don't have dual glazed fog, which means they have a vapor lock barrier problem. We're looking at all your outlets and switches to make sure that they're wired properly and not reverse polarity. But it's also required to take a look at the electrical panel. So we're going to pull that off. We're going to see how it's all wired up. And then it's also required, Emily, to take a look at all the major systems. So we're taking a look at the heating system, the cooling system. We're looking at the water heater, and we're also looking at the foundation in itself down on the lower levels. In the kitchen, We're looking at all the major appliances there too, but we're really just, again, using them under normal operation. So we had a client call one time and said, hey, I put my house, we moved in and I used the oven cleaner and the oven never turned off from that. And it wasn't in the report. You're right. We can only turn it on. We can literally not turn on an oven and test the automatic cleaning feature, which takes 24 hours to see if it works. So there's certain exclusions, okay? One of the things that, or two things that I always find interesting that are not required by any jurisdiction whatsoever. National exam, state of Maryland, Virginia, West Virginia, we were talking about before, in the DC, not required. Refrigerators. Believe it or not, refrigerators are not required to be inspected, but I guarantee you, if one of these people on this call, if Sarah down here to my bottom left, she walks into that house and 2 months later that refrigerator stops working, she's calling the Bates team saying your inspector missed it, right? But it's not required. Clothes washers and dryers, not required. If you had a home inspection and your inspector didn't at least turn them on, you'd think they're crazy. And we do too. We test them, but they're not required. Well, why are those three things not required? It makes complete sense. Well, actually, they don't all convey with the home. So if you have some really nice Samsungs and you just put those bad boys in that house and then you turn around and sell that house, you're pulling those Samsungs out and you're putting like a Maytag in there or a Kenmore or something like that because you want to take that out of there. You want to take that zero freezer out of there, right? So those aren't required, I mean, on those type of things. But all of your Windows outlets, switches, all that would go in a report, and they have to be used under normal circumstances. Here's another misconception, that every outlet needs to be tested. The states require us to do that, but they say a representative number of doors and windows and outlets and switches need to be checked. Well, who is to say what a representative number is? Is that 3 of the 4 outlets that are in the bedroom? Is it 1 bedroom outlet? What is it? And it's really to the company's, whatever the policy is. Like our policy is, if you can get to it, we're trying it, we're testing it. So those are kind of questions that you'd want to really kind of ask when you're setting up your appointments.
That's really spooky stuff. You
Yep.
know,
Yep.
yeah, I mean, so for the agents that are listening, that's a reminder that if you see a really nice appliances and they're not affixed, you know, it's not like a sink or something like that, then you should be writing it into the offer as something that should convey so you don't get caught off guard. So wonderful. And I would also mention that, you know, inspections are starting to come back, right? The full inspection, as you mentioned. So that's normally for a cooler market. You also started to talk a little bit about the walk and talk, and, you know, which is a much more, I think, abbreviated version of an inspection. And normally, as far as strategy goes, those are used in a really hot market where you don't have the opportunity to even negotiate. You're just making sure that everything is safe in the house. And so I'm curious what you have to say about that. And also too, the question is, do you have to have a regular inspection to add things on, or could I just, as a homeowner who's a little bit skeptical about the, you know, let's say the plumbing or whatever, could I come to you and ask you for just you know, something that's not an inspection, just like a, or yeah, you know what I'm saying.
We are
Dan.
Yes.
Dan, before you answer, I want to add something else to that. So when so essentially, when you were talking about like checking the sewer lines and some of the difficulties there, especially with newer homes, a newer home that you would expect, what you said makes perfect sense. Also, what you said with regard to the linings inside of fireplaces, the flues inside of fireplaces. Do you, as an inspector, kind of like, do you coordinate ever with insurance companies for homeowners, or, you know, after the buyer purchased the home, like to coordinate, you know, kind of getting information, estimates, whatever, in order to get that covered by the homeowner's insurance? And one of the reasons why I asked that specifically is a lot of people don't take advantage of their homeowners policies. So they have the policies and they don't use them, or they don't use them properly. And anytime we have owners who have a property and they see something wrong, my first thing is contact your insurance company, because you're looking at a large bill, and a portion of this, at the bare minimum, can probably be covered by your insurance company. It's going to save you money. So you coordinate that at all, and you roll all that together.
Right. Yeah. No, that's really smart. And it helps serve them because they've been paying for years on their insurance and now they're bolting. Right. So they might as well try to get their claim when they roll out. Right. So I love that idea. But to be honest with you, Mohammed, I haven't done that specifically work with them, but I will tell you, to Ebony's point, we're currently working with 2 attorneys that are representing clients that are suing landlords, right? And a contractor. One is a contractor, one's a landlord. So to your point, we get hired all the time as expert witnesses. We'll go out, we'll evaluate. The one for the landlord was potential mold in the property. And then the other one for the contractor one was poor craftsmanship, and really kind of a bait and switch type of deal. So they had us come in. It's bad, right? So so we will go out and inspect just particular components. In fact, if you search us in Olney, our company in Olney, there's boards out there that have our name noted specifically because we have gone out and caught storm chasers that have gone and sold to people that are less educated than we are on selling a product like new shingles. Oh, you had a storm, Mrs. Jones, and you need new shingles. And you guys you're gonna gasp when I tell you this. We've had them where they've gone in, they've literally painted the shingles to make it look like they're real and new, and then they take the money from these poor elderly people and they run off, right? We've had where they have just painted the outside of the chimney cap. You know, it's incredible. And thankfully, someone in Olney, a gentleman and his wife in Olney, were suspicious, and he contacted us, and we went out. We didn't know we were on this board, and we said, "How'd you get our name?" He said, "Oh, you're in Olney as the go-to guys for this stuff." And I was like, "Well, that's great because that feeds. You know, I'm a server at my church. I'm like, this feeds. I built this thing on a servant attitude." And it's like, it just feeds us, right? So it's great. So we do those individual things and the walk and talks and all that. And the walk and talks are interesting, but really some of the things I'd like to just make sure we get across. We only have a few minutes. Like everyone always asks, what happens like if you miss something? Like let's just be real, you know, like, hey, you missed this. Like what happens at that point? Well, if we quote unquote miss something, it's going to come into the office, and this is how it should happen in every company. And I suspect the industry at large is very good, but this is what everyone needs to know. It comes into the office, and the first thing the office is going to do is this within the scope of the inspection? You know, if they call about a fence that's not working properly, that's not even part of the home inspection, you know. So we would first say, is this part of it? If it is part of it, then we would go back over and we would look at the report, because unfortunately, some people, as I think, Ebony, you know, on this call, that not everyone reads their entire report. They flip to the addendum and they see if it's on there and they don't go any further, but you got to read the whole report. So we check that. Let's say it's a miss. Let's just say that the furnace doesn't work, right? And it was just a flat out miss. Well, you should be asking, whenever you're hiring an inspection company, what is their company policy? What's their guarantee? Because the state of Maryland and Northern Virginia and the District of Columbia only require the refunding of the home inspection fee. Now, that could be a shock to many, right? So you do a home inspection for $500 and the furnace is not working. Last time I checked, the furnace is good $3,000–4,000. So all we did was paid for probably 15 minutes of that technician's time putting in that $2,000–3,000 furnace on a refund. Now, our company policy is we actually put a 90-day warranty on we pay for a warranty from a warranty company for 90 days. All right. You get in, you move out, you're going to find out if that furnace is working or not in that first 90 days, the air conditioner, the hot water heater not working. That's what we do. Okay. And then what we also do is we've done things where it's only happened one time, but we actually ended up buying a new roof. It was like 10 grand. It was a miss. And it was, you know, it was a flat out miss. And we ended up writing a check for it. Not required. $500 is all I was required. But I don't think that realtors would ever recommend us if they knew that we didn't stand behind, if we used some piece of paper that limited our liability as a means of skirting the issue. That's not great.
You know, sometimes it's not about the mistake in the end, it's about how it's remedied. So
Right,
that's
right,
used to
exactly.
hear.
So
Big to hear.
the other thing we do right now is I love what you said about getting home inspections. We do a lot of inspections right now for home. Or we got a Kathleen's got a question. Someone's got a question. We can raise a hand there. Anyone? How would you like to ask that?
Kathleen, you
Can
can
you
go
hear
ahead and unmute yourself.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, thank you for your time. I am a first-time home buyer and a brand new real estate agent. So I have a question for you, and I hope it doesn't sound stupid. Um, okay, in your experience or even in your foresight going forward, have you ever heard of people regularly getting home inspections and then when it comes time to sell the home, maybe that adds to the equity of the home or maybe even help speed up the sale of the home? Is that a thing?
It is a thing. It is a thing. It's called a pre-listing inspection. And we do that. I'm going to give you two scenarios. One is the person did a home inspection with us and years later they sell. Not recommended because everything changes. So that's not recommended. But what we have seen a lot is people competing in a market space. So they're having us come in before they list the house and we do a home inspection on the property. And some people say, I don't want to do that because then if I'm made aware of something, then I got to disclose it. But the bottom line is it's going to show up eventually anyway. So it's like they're in the house for 2 years and there's a problem. They're still going to call everything back and go like, you recommended this guy and it's broken 2 years later. So what the best way to leverage that tool is we go in and we do the home inspection and we're very transparent. We say, these are the things we see. And then we say, we recommend you fix these. If you don't want to fix them, fine. Just share that with the seller and say, because we can provide a repair pricer. So we can say all the things that were on this report equate to say $5,000, right? So then we can say the house, instead of listing the house for 500,000, list it for 495,000, non-contingent. Here's your home inspection report. We already know you got $5,000 of problems, and here's a contractor to fix it. That's powerful, right? So, or we do a lot of those on estate sales, and where we'll do the home inspection, and they say, well, we're not going to replace the roof, so we'll provide 3 different quotes on what it would cost to get that done, and then you can sell the price accordingly. But people leverage that pre-listing inspection quite a bit, Good question, actually, on that. So the other
You
one,
mentioned, yeah,
yes.
sorry, go ahead. Go ahead. No, I mean, my thing was, this was great. I mean, because again, this is demonstrating that not only buyers, can use, your services. But you mentioned a price estimate that you have access to. And I know that there's also a home warranty that you guys are linked up with. So could you tell us about those things? Because those, again, support folks after the sale.
Yep. Yeah, so Repair Pricer it's a standalone company. It was just recently acquired by a company called Inspection Go. And Repair Pricer uses both artificial intelligence and humans to evaluate a report in its entirety and provide the purchaser and the purchasing agent estimates on these different repairs that they have found in the home inspection report. Interestingly enough, the fact is that they are over 90% accurate. And they do it based on the neighborhood you're in, because let's just say, we were talking about earlier about the difference between being in West Virginia, where we're trying to do inspections, and like DC. If you're in Northeast DC, the contractor is going to bill you more for the inconveniences and the charges, and it's just a fact. And then you go into West Virginia, the same repair is going to be less. It's going to be $500 to fix your toilet in Northeast DC, and it's going to cost you $100 in West Virginia. Well, this artificial intelligence and this human interaction, they actually take that into consideration. So you get a very accurate cost estimate. Literally, those things are turned around within, I think it's within 12 hours, you have a full price report. So if you do a home inspection at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, that night, you generally have a completely open and, transparent cost estimate. All right. So, which is huge. For the warranty, we happen right now use Super as our warranty provider. You can buy a home warranty to go a full year. We do the 90 days to just help. We felt that we should put some skin in the game, right? So we're doing the home inspection. Let's protect them. So that's what we're offering on that. So we do the home warranty. There are exclusions on that, and there are dollar amounts limitations, just like a full home warranty, but so it's exactly like you would think with a full warranty, but it's just for the 90 days that protects our clients.
And is that different than Porch, or is Porch not even a?
Porch is a concierge service. Porch is a great resource that we've been using for years that help people when they first move in, that says, hey, by the way, here's $150 of coupons for handyman services. That's complimentary, that we've negotiated with Porch. And they also help them find contractors around the area, like handyman, insurance companies, things like that. I've liked Porch a lot. I'm always looking to see how to better my business. And there's another company out there right now, that a concierge, that I think it's going to blow them away. And they've been courting us quite a bit because of our size. So I'm anxious to see what they're going to offer my clients too.
There's really no end to what you do. So, folks, basically the takeaway is it's only a half hour just to give you a taste of, what top to bottom can actually do. If you're someone who's in real estate, if you're someone who owns real estate. So definitely, get a hold of top to bottom. Dan, you've done a fantastic job with your company. And I can't thank you enough for coming on to be with us this evening. It's been a wealth of information. I don't anticipate that anybody grasps everything that you do, because it's just so immense. So definitely, you can reach out to me if you're seeing this or hearing this. We're at info@the Bates International Group. You can email us. Check us out on the web, and we'll be archiving this, so you'll be able to. We'll put your information and everything up there, Dan. So we appreciate everyone. Are there any last burning questions? We're already a few minutes over, but this content was amazing, so I don't want to, do it an injustice. So any last minute questions? You can just unmute.
The only question I think that might be out there is the winning lottery ticket number, and I don't know that. And if I did, I wasn't going to share it anyway. So I appreciate the opportunity to serve. Thanks a lot.
Appreciate you, Dan. Well, thanks everybody for being here tonight. Join us next month. We'll be here, same links, same time, and we appreciate everyone. So happy summer.
Awesome.
Happy summer. Thanks, Dan.
See you guys. Yep, absolutely. See you guys later.
Right.